Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Manitoba PNP program. Now, I have made many videos on this, and this one is going to be different. I've talked about the express entry way of going into the MPNP and creating your expression of interest related to your express entry profile. But what if you're not eligible for express entry profile, meaning if you have a CLB, if you have a knock code C or D, then you are not eligible for express entry profile. Then what you can do, well, you can still create your expression of interest for Manitoba PNP program. So this is why this video is important. And another option for the people who are ineligible for express entry profile is Saskatchewan, the SINP OID stream, that is the occupation in demand. But we'll talk about the MPNP skilled worker overseas stream, that is the SWO. Now, if you want to go through the express entry pathway, then these are the minimum requirements. You must demonstrate acceptance into the express entry profile by providing a valid express entry ID and a job seeker validation code. Now, job seeker validation code, how do you find that? I have a video on that, I think. Okay, work experience. Minimum of 6 months of work experience. Now, these are all the minimum requirements, right? So, minimum of 6 months of work experience in an occupation is required. Official language, CLB 7 is the least amount required for knock code 0 or A, and CLB 6 for knock code B. Okay, so these are the official languages that are required if you want to choose the express entry pathway. Now we'll also talk about the non-express entry pathway, which is no different from these requirements. So that's why I'm going through this. Okay, education, you must complete one post-secondary program for at least 1 year. Okay, and obviously for the human capital priority stream for knock code C or D, you would still need a post-secondary program. Your age must be at least 18 at the time of submission, and you must have an adoptability. Okay, so this adoptability could be determined if you have a friend or a distant relative or a close relative, if you have studied there, worked there, or if you have a valid invitation to apply issued by MPNP under the Strategic Recruitment Initiative. Okay, and then settlement funds is LICO, that I've already made a video on that. Now talk about the human capital pathway. This is the non-express entry skilled worker overseas stream. Okay, so your work experience will be declared for the purpose of obtaining EOI and assessment points. It must be full-time and for a period of at least 6 months. There is no minimum, but if you have less than 6 months, then you will be allotted 0 points for becoming eligible for the human capital pathway. And your work experience must be in an occupation in the in-demand occupation list, and you must submit a career plan. Now, the official requirements. Now, for regulated occupations are those for which you would need a license from a licensing body in Manitoba. So CLB 7 is required for that. Compulsory trades, CLB 6 is required for that. And for all other NOC 0, A or B occupations, CLB 5 is required at the minimum level. Now let's talk about the education. As I've already said, one post-secondary program of at least 1 year must be required, and you need to have a Canadian equivalency for that. Okay, and if your position requires licensing or certification, you must apply to the regulatory body to have your qualifications and skills assessed. Now you must demonstrate. Now these are the adaptability factors for Manitoba human capital priority stream, human capital priority stream, human capital pathway. You must demonstrate the ability and intent to become economically established. Now this is one thing where human capital pathway is different from the express entry pathway. Here you will be allotted points for your spousal ECA and their language proficiency. Okay, now if you have CLB 5 for your spouse and a bachelor's degree, then you will be getting adaptability points, okay, for your spousal ECA and IELTS, so which is non-relevant when it comes to PNP programs like SINP, but for MPNP, for human capital pathway, you would get additional points for that. Now your age must be minimum 18, and your settlement funds, LICO, I've already made a video on that, so that is applicable. So this is this video actually told you about a pathway that is for the people who are ineligible for express entry profile. And the most common reason is knock code C or D, because knock code C or D are not admissible for express entry profile. Even if you have a master's degree, you cannot be an express entry profile candidate because you have a work experience in knock code C or D. Okay, so yeah, I hope this video will be fruitful for you guys. This is Iftikhar wishing you guys all the best.